Hi everyone, thanks for joining me here. So I'll start with my introduction. So my name is Gaurav Kapoor and I'm from India. I live near to the capital city, New Delhi, and that's my hometown. And right now I'm doing MBA in IT management from IU University Berlin. And as you know, like rent is pretty high and it's not easy to get like good education nowadays. So I had to take up a part-time job of a Drupal developer with a Drupal agency there. That's Werk 21, or as they say, Werk 21. Still trying to learn its pronunciation. They prefer to use the German word for 21. Okay, so before I got into like IT management, I was Drupal developer for 7 years, and I wanted to switch to project management or business analyst. That's why I got into MBA. So overall, mostly like most of my career has been in developing websites with Drupal, as well as a bit of PHP and Symfony and whatever I could explore in my free time. That's my user ID on Drupal.org, and I have been a very active contributor on Drupal.org, because in the two agencies in which I worked in India, we had like a very simple policy. Whatever we try to develop generic modules so that those can be given to the community. So uh, whatever we developed, most of it was like added to Drupal.org. And then like in my free time, I used to pick up the unsupported module as well. All those members who have left the community, I would take up their projects, and then maybe I ported some of the modules from Drupal 7 to 8, and then I'm like, or just I'm maintaining them. Few of the most famous one is Antibot. It was developed by someone else, but now I maintain it, and I recently added a Drupal 10 release for it as well. And other one are Discuss, Role, Watchdog, and you'll have to check my profile because even I sometimes forget. I have like, okay, I have maintainer access for this one because I have like access for 70, 80 projects. Earlier I used to get a lot of time to contribute, but now with like my studies and a job, I do not get enough time for that. But whenever I do, I get to it. That's my website. You can check it out because hardly anyone opens it. So it has all the blogs that I have written, and find some useful information there. Okay, so before I start with the main topic, I would like to share the story of how I got to this point. So in my previous company for last 6 months, my role was of a DXP consultant. I used to help our clients in implementing like digital experience solutions. And like long time back, we decided we'll be like actively talking about DXP in various camps in Europe as well as US. So I applied for a session here, and then but then a lot of things change in last 6 months. I left that company, I moved here, but when the organizers checked with me if I'm still available for this session, and I thought like, yeah, I can spend a weekend in a new country, in a new city. So that's why I still opted for it. You might see it's a very like PPT is a very simple one, and with just like you can see that's one of the default theme which we get, because earlier someone from our marketing team or someone else used to improve the design, but this time like I'm just a student and it was just me, so it's a very simple presentation. But I can assure you content is good. I'll try to use as many examples as I can so that you understand the concepts and are encouraged towards at least searching about DXP once you get back to work. All right. So whenever you start reading about digital experience platform, you will see most of the references start with a definition which has been given by Gartner, which is a very famous data collection and a ranking agency, and they are involved in like various other sort of tasks as well, but is a very authentic source when it comes to comparison of various kinds of platform. So as per Gartner, uh, a digital experience platform is an integrated set of core technologies that support the composition, management, delivery, and optimization of a contextualized digital experience. So, okay, that was a like it is a sort of a bookish. After all, it's a definition. But if you focus on few words, let's start with the integrated set of core technologies. So whenever it's a DXP, you are not relying on one tech, let's say just Drupal. You would be using like a mix of technologies, each dedicated towards solving a particular problem. And that's why it says core technologies. So let's say you have a CMS, which would only be doing content, and then you might have a marketing automation tool linked with it, and that would be doing its part. So in DXP, like that's the most important thing. It's an integrated set of core technologies, and then you can focus on the other word, let's say management. So all of your applications, all of the tools that as a company which you are using, DXP is a way of managing them. Delivery, so whatever content, whatever services you want your users to have, is also the delivery of it is also being managed by your main DXP platform. And the most other important thing is contextualized. So you want all your users to have a personalized experience, and that's why it is so important for a DXP, and it becomes part of the definition. I'll go with like in another source I read that a DXP can help you offer your visitors a relevant, personal, and compelling brand experience. So once again, the focus is on relevant and personal. You want to open a website, you want to feel like, okay, it is like behaving differently for you. It is the website or an application is adapting based on your use, like the way you use it, or you can see the content which you want. I'll get to the examples. Like you can see, okay, I've mentioned Netflix and Google, but I'll get to the example in detail, and then it would be much easier to understand. But right now, focus on that DXPs try to give a personalized experience. So like we have been developing web application and mobile applications from long time, but the main thing that DXP brings in is that focus should be on how do you improve the digital experience, like how you should okay, I'll go to the next definition, which says DXP offer organization an integrated suite of tools to foster meaningful relationship by speaking and listening to customers. So once again, this definition also says it's an integrated suite of tools, and other good concept which it introduces is just listen to your customer, look what they are looking for, and then convey your like brand experience to them. So one, like that's the main difference between whatever that has been developed till now and what changes when the concept of DXP comes in. You have to focus on improving the experience of your users, of your editors, or anyone who's using the tool. How do you give them a better experience? And why is it is important? Because some of the big companies, let's say Netflix, Google, have already done it. So expectations are very high. Let's say if somebody launches a new service just like Netflix, you would want to have a feature of skip intro, you would want to have like a personalized recommendation, and so benchmark is pretty high, and otherwise then people will stop like using your application. And anyway, we are most of the times we are distracted. Like even now, if a notification will pop up on my phone, I would want to check it. I'm just kidding, I won't do that. I'll wrap this presentation first. But that does happen. You would want to see it. And that's why the digital experience has to be like top notch for the brand to be successful. All right. Okay. So I'll get to the details of these components later on, but you can see just to have a better idea of the definition, you can see we have CMS, search, commerce, PIMs, and mobile. It just shows that how all your tools have to be integrated so that you can like sell your services, showcase your content, have personalization, marketing can be automated, and all of the things that you want to do are can be done easily just by integrating various tools. So and it's not like very important. Let's say you're building some application which just needs marketing automation. It's not like necessary to have all these for your application to be a DXP, but pretty much like it's like a bigger set, and whatever you would be developing would be a part of it. Okay, so why you should have let's say why you should have a DXP platform? Why not like we build a Drupal website and things there? So problem is like with DXP like okay, benefit of having a DXP is that you get a good control of all the touch points and ensure consistent experience. So I'll give you, so I was working with a company that sells insurance in Germany as well as in other European countries. So what we did was they had a Drupal website where they would put content, show their pricing plans, and give information about the policies. Okay, and then they had a portal where users can log in and purchase the insurance. And so obviously Drupal and portal are slightly linked because whatever the plan user like clicks on the main website, that's the one they should be buying on the portal. And then they have mobile application to manage like there also you can manage your policy, pay your premium, and do those sort of things. But they didn't stop here, and they like integrated their marketing tool as well with it, so that if your, let's say, insurance is expiring, or let's say you have added a like you have a new family member or those sort of things, then they would shoot you like like newsletter which have content which is like very relevant to you. And as I mentioned, like control all touch points. So their team researched like more around it, what else can be done, and then we came up with an idea of developing a smartwatch app which will like count the steps, count your like has access to all your health data, whatever your wearable is gathering. So that also like is sent to the portal, and the users who are fit, who are more into like exercising and all, are given a discount in their like premiums. So overall in this example we can see that how they are like touching you at every they have a control of all touch points, and there is a consistency in all the application, and that's what keeps users engaged, and they wouldn't want to switch to a different insurance provider easily, because we have with this platform we are able to listen them in a better way. Okay, another benefit is, as we saw in this example as well, good connectivity between your IT, marketing, sales, and customer care. So if you are architecting in such a way that you have a visibility of all the tools, all the applications that a particular business has, so definitely there is a lot of scope to like improve the coordination. Earlier it used to be the case that they were working in silos, but now everyone like sales has the easy access to customer data, whatever customers are complaining, and since we have done integration, we are relying on APIs. They are well connected. Okay, and aggregate all the data using DXP and use it for generating personalized content. So like to understand this benefit, you have to see that what's the difference between content and a data. So content is what their editor team or the information related to insurance that they're putting on their websites, that's content. And data is like whatever that is generated based on the user activity. Let's say somebody was about to purchase an insurance, but then they closed a tab. So your customer data platform would keep a record of that. Okay, this IP address was not a logged in user, but they reached this step, so that next time your application can adapt accordingly. Or maybe let's say they logged in as well, and now you have access to their email ID and you have their permission to contact them. But once again, they left the, let's say, a product in the cart, or maybe they purchased it, but they didn't purchase the similar products. Since you have a CDP attached to your website, you're collecting all this data, and based on it, you can like improve your marketing, as well as later on, like showcase a better, like personalized version of your app. Okay, next is automating marketing. As I mentioned, since we are collecting data at every step, and since we know our customers, since we know them in a better way, so it becomes much more easier to send them relevant data. Okay, next thing is be future ready. So, like, as you know, like tech changes very quickly. Maybe in future we'll have devices, let's say a laptop or a phone, that will have entire UI customized just based on like whosoever owns the phone, and all we will have as a web owner is an API to push data to that device. Maybe that might be the case in future. So even to adapt in that case, if you have already like architected all your products, if you have a visibility of them, then it would be much easier to switch. Or let's say, like, imagine the effort which was spent in, let's say, we didn't have variables earlier, but we developed an app just considering our mobile phone, and now we have to change it. So if you already have a DXP, you can reduce all this effort. Okay, I wanted to share a Netflix example. We had a much better diagram, but unfortunately I don't have access to that. So I quickly like gathered the required components of how Netflix is improving your digital experience, and why it becomes like a benchmark for all other like video services, or even the learning ones. Wherever the user comes in and checks some video content on, or like a large content base, then Netflix is a good example of how experience can be improved there. So Netflix, I can see, has a website, they have a mobile app, and obviously, like, it doesn't happen that you started watching something on website, but then you open on mobile, it has like no idea what you were watching. It is able to retain your progress, and then same thing happens when you access Netflix and TV. It is not just retaining your like progress of where you were, but ensures your recommendation like continues to improve based on data from the all the touch points. And behind the scene, yes, Netflix has a CMS where their editor or content creator are adding all the video data, as well as whatever we search, whatever you see on Netflix, somebody's entering that in CMS. Now, why I have the WhatsApp icon? Because if you go to Netflix, you can subscribe to WhatsApp alerts. So they'll like send you a message as soon as, let's say, next episode comes in, or there is a next season, you get a message on WhatsApp. They could have avoided it, they could have relied on email, but as our idea is to give like control all touch points in a DXP, so you have access to WhatsApp as well. I added the pricing plan screenshot as well, because overall what goal of Netflix is to get you like subscribe to one of them. So how your e-commerce is also integrated in here in DXP. That's why I added this over here. And then last image just shows the email marketing. You get like same based on your viewing history, based on your data, they're able to generate what kind of newsletter you would be most interested in, and so that chances of clicking are very high. And because of apps like these, each and every brand is pushed to think in this direction, that how they can also provide a much more engaging experience. All right, so I'll discuss the common components that are part of our DXP. We always have a CMS where your editors would add in content, and generally that's also the point where like we come in as a Drupal developer, as well as users also most of the times are either accessing data directly through a CMS. It can be a Drupal, Contentful, WordPress, or it could be any CMS. And the next, you might have a web or a mobile application. So it might be the case that you're using Drupal just as a headless backend, and you have a separate web app for showcasing your content, or you have a mobile application. Then other important component is CDP. So what CDPs do is like they help you to orchestrate all the data which is coming from multiple like channels. All you have to do is, let's say you have to add required JavaScript or required logic in your all your application, so that the data is sent to a CDP where your consultants or your marketing team have an overview of all the data, and that's where they can uh, like combine your users in groups, or maybe use that data for marketing purposes and a lot of things. So personally, I had an opportunity to work on segment.io as well, and it's a very like number of integration it has. It's like you wouldn't have to like write a custom one. That would be very rare. So we did a scenario where we had like JavaScript added on the cart page, which would just send like the required data to segment.io, and then segment.io would push that data to our marketing tool, and an email is sent like, okay, you have left this item in cart. And maybe you can also like without much writing much code or custom logic, you can also have that ability of sending discount coupons to whosoever like left something in the cart. And these sort of requirements are like, let's say if you just have Drupal, then it's difficult to implement. This means custom logic for everything. But if you are already on a DXP, you are using tools that are meant for it, you are well integrated, then your development effort is reduced as well. But then yes, you have to subscribe to all this, that sometimes, most of the time, leads to extra cost. We have other CDP available as well. We have one from Akia, and Apache Unomi is an open source one, which also works pretty fine. Okay, and so main thing, I hope you all understand what CMS mobile application are doing, and CDP is for collecting the user generated data. It will not have a content that you can put on your website, but it will have these sort of data, your clicks, and where the user was in the like the journey. Okay, next we have marketing automation tool, and here also I had worked a little bit on Mautic in developing custom plugins. So what Mautic does is it will manage your all the contacts, all your leads, and then you can set campaigns in Mautic to, let's say, anything like, let's say in every 30 days, or maybe on birthday send this particular newsletter. Those sort of applications you can do. So once you have established a good like data path, data flowing from your CMS to your CDP and to Mautic, then you can very easily automate a lot of marketing operations which required effort earlier. Most of the times, let's say we used to notice that for small web owners, they would ask us to give a like a CSV export of all the users in Drupal. Then they would put that in Excel, and then they were putting it like in their marketing software, or maybe sending them emails. But if it's well integrated, it pretty much most of it is automated. And it's like, once after some point, let's say I was working with a customer, they had like 30 million contacts. So there is no scope of doing things manually there. They need, like in that cases, you have to have a DXP. Okay, then search functionality is also like pretty much in like almost all the application, and it is better to like use a dedicated search backends for that, because the way they store the data, the querying data becomes very easy. Although there are simple application as well. Let's say Drupal is just connected to Solar, but search can be a component of DXP as well, and can be a dedicated like integrated tool to maybe for searching. And then you can like push data from all your sources as well. Let's say you have a platform that allows users to search like what other users have commented, and users are posting comment from mobile as well as from web application, or maybe some other medium. So in those cases, a good search backend is very helpful. And then we have like e-commerce. Let's say if you're like the brand is selling something, Then Pimcore, Magento, even Drupal Commerce, we have some plugins, but I've seen the adoption like decreasing in some last years, but those can also be used to manage the e-commerce operations. So as an architect, as a developer, all you have to understand now is, let's say you have already mastered working in Drupal. Now you have to have a good grasp of all these tools, as the requirement of providing a better digital experience would grow from now on. It already is, but it is about to like get like even more. And nowadays, like many websites don't. Earlier, it was used to be very common which CMS is better, Drupal or WordPress. But nowadays, question is which DXP is better. You go with the Akia solution, you go with Sitecore. I'll discuss those. Yeah. So nowadays, like question is which DXP tool like should we go for, rather than just picking up the CMS. So these are some of the popular ones. We have one from Akia. We have few open source tools available as well that can help you like set your platform, and then there are others. If you will focus very carefully what all companies, what all technologies these big players are acquiring, you would realize that they're trying to like complete their stack themselves. So let's say Akia didn't have a marketing automation tool, so they acquired Mautic, and then they launched Campaign Studio, which is built over it. Because and the reason for it is most of the customers want to automate their marketing based on the data they have gathered from the website. So that's the trend, and it will like further grow. So it's a good idea to have understanding of it. Okay, where does Drupal come in the DXP world? Yes, it is thankfully still a very popular choice when like opting for CMS. I've seen projects where the clients were not willing to let go of their Drupal because they're very happy with it. So they, even when they wanted to use Salesforce, they were still sticking with Drupal as a CMS and integrating it with the marketing, the newsletter, the CRM provided by Salesforce. So overall, still I would say a go-to choice when it comes to CMS. Then we already have like lot of modules, lot of plugins already available that you don't have to develop in Drupal. That's always the advantage of going with Drupal. But even if, let's say, when it comes to a situation where client is not happy with the let's say the experience which customer have, then also that all of it can be improved without switching your CMS. As I mentioned, we have plugins available for commerce operation as well. And okay, and maybe with the JS technology have improved a lot, and we have seen single page applications, and we want faster ones, but Drupal still can be used as a headless backend in those situations. I really like the migration framework because when you are integrating a lot of tools, you have to most of the times, you have to move your data, and we already have like migration framework available for that, and continuous data migration is also very easy with that. I added the component driven development like tools available. So thanks to like layout builder, and let's say there are various other tools. So editorial experience is also like good in Drupal. Okay, what changes for Drupal agencies and developers? Like most of the even in I have worked with like very small companies as well. We wouldn't like focus on what the business is trying to achieve. We would like stick to, okay, you want us to integrate this with that, we'll do it. We're like focusing mostly on Drupal, mostly on the CMS part. But overall, like as we understand, it's a business thing, and even businesses are sometimes not aware about what else they can do, how they can improve the customer experience. So maybe instead of just being CMS experts, it's time to switch to being like the DXP expert, and architect, like whenever like planning out or doing the architecture part, focus on what other tools are also there. And yeah, so that's for agencies. For developers, yes, try to understand these common CDPs, marketing automation tools, and be on top on how these can be integrated, so that you can like save a lot of time when there's an actual requirement. And yes, security and performance have to be like top notch, because with one system it is still manageable, but when you do integrations, you have to take care of like a lot of other things. So having a good hold of those is useful as well. And yes, all this, like I mentioned, like having control of all the touch points, and sometimes users can feel like they might start marking it as a spam. Okay, I just got an email and now I got a WhatsApp message as well. And sometimes they wouldn't want to have this much of communication. So it is better to have always have their approval, and then only initiate a message. And yeah, DXP consultant, because then you'll be in a much better position rather than just being a CMS expert. If you're a DXP expert, you can solve like much bigger business use cases. So yeah, so that's pretty much it from my side. I added this because I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry for that. So I added it as it is, and thank you so much. If you have any questions, we can discuss those.
Yeah, so I've got a very simple question, because you've mentioned about starting to be RDX expert rather than a developer. I'm just curious how big the market is in terms of job offers for RDX experts. Do you have any knowledge about this?
There is still working, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, there like it's not going to happen that, like, are you asking that?
I mean, because if you would like to, for example, leave a bit the part of being a developer and starting to be RDX expert, you always are thinking, okay, that's fine, but am I going to find a job around this?
Yeah, to be very honest, when my company told me that you would be DXP consultant, I went to LinkedIn, I searched for DXP consultant jobs, and there were like zero results there. So I was also confused whether to take that role or not. But overall, you're still a solution architect. As a developer, you would always want to switch to tech lead and then solution architect. Here we are just like increasing the range of activities that a solution architect takes.
Okay, so it's just additional skill.
Additional skill, more of a additional skills. But overall, the thing is, this is like very much into focus now. That experience should be good as well. The way, like someone even gave me like it's a lame example. Like Steve Jobs used to say, "Why laptop should be ugly? It should be good. So why your experience should be pathetic when surfing a web or checking an application?" So start focusing on digital experience, and as a skill, it would come. Although I feel I don't believe in roles, because when I just had like 1 year of experience, my company made me Drupal architect. But when I went to other company, they switched back me to like junior developer. So it should be a team's responsibility to uh, work on architecture. But job wise, yes, solution architect is the appropriate role who should have a good hold of this and should be the decision maker here.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, I opened this because as a tech person, you have an occupational hazard of searching on Google. So if you ask something difficult, I would have written it here itself. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.